Hi, tonight we're going to talk about Jesus came to love, not to start a religion. Jesus did not preach Christianity against others, because he came to love everyone, the poor, the overwhelmed, and the dejected. Christ let love guide him and the Spirit lead him, because he knew the soul would lead and guide us too, so he didn't have to preach or teach. But then we started to worship Jesus in a religion instead of walking with him on the journey to unity, love, and bliss. We left the Garden of Eden. There is no chosen religion because the universal divine energy is concerned and engaged with everyone and everything in one union we label God. That is why Jesus did not promote a religion, because he was an example that was pointing to the divinity within, not instructing what to think, but pointing where to look. He expressed this spiritual experience as a personal relationship with God in pure consciousness, not a belonging to a religion with rules, punishment, and plans to get money. Our shift from Jesus to a belief, to belong, interpreted by church elders, stopped our restructuring to the perspective of the soul. The soul is where we can observe our thoughts, flow through our mind unrestricted, not involved as we observe from a new perspective, not from the mind. We realize there is no destination because the peace we feel is heaven, as the journey of life itself is in the present moment. The mystic St. Francis of Assisi said, "What you are looking for is where you are looking from." Observing the soul puts our body, mind, and spirit into every act without reacting, so we can be calm in every situation and enjoy the smallest of actions. The ego in our mind that thinks it is in control never stops talking. But when we observe the voice, we realize we are not the mind or ego, but the observer. This shift to the soul perspective presents new possibilities, where we have a choice to move closer to the spirit or further away. When we start our journey towards the consciousness of the soul, we let go of and stop dwelling on the things that weigh us down, so we can harmonize at a higher vibration. We view life through the brilliance of our spirit and not through the drama and ego of our mind, so solutions come trouble-free because the mind is still. In our consciousness, we awaken to the unified force field of love that unites us with everything, internally and externally, that Jesus demonstrated and pointed to in his life. We experience our feelings and emotions, but we are not controlled by them, so we don't have to react because they are observed objectively. We had the ability to choose or accept how we react because our spiritual tour de force is different or maybe the same as others. But when a situation is out of control, we have the resolve to detach from other people's choices, then let go and go with the flow. Our spiritual journey and guidance doesn't come with control, but by releasing the restraints of self-control and do what is best. By pulling back the veil of our mind and the struggles we are enduring and controlling, we make a fresh start. Our minds are conditioned, a kind of filter through which we see our reality that creates enormous pain with our big egos, keeping us from experiencing the enchantment and magic that Jesus was pointing to. Ram Dass said, "As you dissolve into love, your ego fades. You're not thinking about loving, you're just being love, radiating like the sun." Once we have a spiritual awakening, and realize we are the observer in consciousness, then we experience every event and activity as a spiritual experience. Being open to the universal energy, we are sent insights and synchronicities that remind us that we are something bigger than our ego, so we awaken. Once aware, we release our wounds from the past that constantly bleed because we keep touching them with our mind. Instead of drowning them with alcohol, drugs, work, or other distractions, we make peace with them because we enjoy life more than when we are free of them. We don't need more sleep because it is negative thoughts that make us tired. What we need is the magic and peace in the soul perspective. It is our choice to what technique we use to awaken to be the observer of our thoughts and behavior. Our mind is filled with misconceptions, false impressions, and fantasies that when observed from the mind, we think they are truths. But from the soul, they are just a disturbance. To rise above our thoughts in meditation, we don't fight them or block them from entering. So we open the doors and windows so they can flow into us freely. However, we need to open the doors and windows in the back of our mind so they can enter and leave in a flow. If we feed them, we are in the mind with them, entertaining every thought, worrying, and not above the discomfort and pain they bring. There is a proverb that says, "Worry is like a rocking chair. It'll give you something to do, but it won't get you anywhere." The second coming of Christ is a return to Christ consciousness, where we start by turning to love, the highest vibration that transforms us to the highest state of consciousness. We are aligning with the divine source of energy that Jesus called the Father, so we can transform to a new belief system that is an energy field that in subtle form is called consciousness. Jesus talked about love and the divinity within to make contact with it because it is beyond the comprehension of our mind. There is no separation between consciousness, soul, and spirit because they are everywhere and enlightening our awareness instantaneously. There are many techniques to relax the mind and open the door to the spiritual flow. But close the door and the flow stops as we identify with the mind. We play in the mind, but it limits us with filters that we identify with because the mind can't understand the divine flow. That is why Jesus started with a new model and new belief. But Christian leaders after him didn't understand, so they believe in rules, a religion, and a God who punishes. In Christianity, we still have people spending time on things that make them miserable instead of cultivating the joy, love, and divine consciousness that Jesus lived by. That is okay, because the truth requires change, and they want to remain in the same state, how they think life should be. They follow what Alan Watts called the backwards law. They want explicit happiness, but by desiring it, they make it a frustrating experience because they don't have it. Recognizing and acknowledging negative encounters makes them positive learning experiences because they make us pure when we let go of thoughts that make us suffer. Jesus pointed to the divinity within as the essence and source of who we are when we are not attached to our thoughts, because we can experience the peace, joy, and love in the comfort of the soul. Thich Nhat Hanh said, "Everything including love, hate, and suffering needs food to continue. If suffering continues, it's because we keep feeding our suffering." The mind is intellectual, forming different images that we identify with as father, mother, daughter, son, doctor, or patient. Occasionally, we remove the filters of our mind and observe different realities in an altered state of consciousness that is different than the physical realm. The brain is not the creator of consciousness. It is more like a switchboard, a switch operator, that lets the spirit flow or not. The mind closes the flow when it has us identify with the images that it creates. The same way water takes on the form of its container. But at that time, the water is not flowing. An open-minded awareness reveals and brings to light who we really are by shifting our perspective from the images of the mind to pure awareness. Intellectual awareness is not enough because the reasoning is linear, conceptual, and intellectual, while spirituality is beyond thought-based knowing. Spirituality is the ability to be still in the moment, not thinking in linear fashion, but absorbing everything around and inside us at the same time. Our mind looks outside for treats and delicacies to make us happy, but life doesn't give us what we want, so we are not happy because we are worthy of much more. We don't find peace and happiness by finding bits and pieces mentally, but by realizing we are not the mind and are the soul. Our mind brings us pleasure, not happiness, so we go through the cycle of pleasure and pain. Because we are not happy, so we have to seek pleasure again. Pleasure, then pain. Because we don't have pleasure, so we have to seek pleasure again. Happiness and peace begins the moment we observe our thoughts from the soul. So the mind is not allowed to control our lives. Rumi suggested meditation with this quote, "The inspiration you seek is already within you. Be silent and listen."